Welcome to the Modern Manager. I am Mamie Hanford-Stewart, and today we are diving into the topic of what it means to support your team members. Whether you are leading a small team or an entire department, one of the most important things you can do as a manager is to find the right ways to support your people to do their best work and be their best self. Now let's start with the big picture. As a manager, what does it really mean to support your people? There are lots of different ways that you can show up, and it really depends on the person and the context. Supporting is not a one-size-fits-all activity, but it also can be a little confusing if you're not sure how to think about the different ways that you can show up to support your people. And so we are going to unpack 7 different roles that you can play that will give you different ideas for strategies and approaches and the ways that you can show up as an effective manager to support your team members. The first role that you can play is as a coach. And in this role, as a coach, you are really there to help the other person learn and grow. You are there to ask questions, help them uncover their own thinking and their own insights and their own decisions. You're not there to tell them what to do, and you are not there to give them all the answers. You are there to really help draw out of them and use this entire thing as a learning opportunity for them to figure things out on their own. You are really there to foster independent problem solving, independent thinking, so that over time, they can do this work without your support. So if someone was struggling on your team with a particular challenge, you would ask them as their coach, what do you think is causing this issue? What ideas do you have for how you might address this? Who might you go talk to that could help you figure this out? Remember, as the coach, you are not there to dictate. You are there to ask questions to help the person clarify their own thinking and come to their own conclusions. Another role that you could play is as an expert. When you are playing the expert role, you really are in the job of passing on information, insights, wisdoms, lessons learned, all of the things that you might have because you have done this job before, you have years of experience, you have been around in this organization, and you have just gained insights over time, gained wisdom and learnings over time that the other person doesn't have. And in this role as an expert, you are there to ensure that they have as much information that they need, context, background, insights, etc., so that they can be successful in the work. So when you're having a conversation with your team member and you're wearing your expert hat, you might say things like, if you get stuck at this place, I can help you work through that. Or let me give you some context for how I found it to be really effective working with this particular stakeholder. That's the kind of information that you are there to share. Now, it's important to remember that you are not there to give them all the answers again. This is not about bombarding them with lots of information up front and overwhelming them with details. It's also not about waiting for them to know the right questions to ask, because sometimes we don't know what we're missing. So you want to find the right balance between offering up information, creating opportunities for them to ask questions, and ultimately that if you do have to give an answer or show someone how to do something, you want to explain and use it as a teaching moment so that they are not just seeing the what, but they're really understanding the why and the how. Next, we have the role of the advisor. As an advisor, you are really serving as a thought partner to your team member. You're there as a sounding board, someone they can talk through their ideas with, and they want to hear your reflections. You get a chance to offer some ideas without taking over. This is the opportunity where you can really truly be in dialogue with your team member without taking ownership, still allowing them to be the ultimate decision maker. Unlike in the coach role, where you are really there to just ask questions and try to surface and help the person think independently. As an advisor, you get to bring in your own thoughts, ideas, reflections, but not become the decision maker, not take over the work. Really be there as a true partner in thinking and problem solving and planning, etc. So as an advisor, you might ask questions or offer things up like, well, if I were in your shoes, here's what I would consider for the situation. Or when I tackled something similar in the past, here's how I did it, and this is why that worked well for me. Do you think something like that might work well in your situation? As the advisor, you are really there to give the person a stronger foundation from which to build their own thinking upon. Next up is the role of the connector. When you are playing the role of a connector, your job is to help your team member make the right connections to the right folks so that they can do their job. This might mean introducing them to folks in different departments. It might mean recommending that they reach out to certain people inside or outside the organization. You might be making a connection to a client who they are now going to be working with and making sure that they have the information they need to know about this particular client, this particular project, and how they can best build a relationship with the individuals they are now going to be working for or working with. There will be times when you want to make a direct introduction, and there will be times when you want to encourage your team member to reach out to someone, and you're passing along that person's information. Either way, the whole idea is that you are there to help this person on your team get connected. And so hopefully over time, they will have those relationships in place. They will know who to turn to for help, for specific things, who to go to for questions, and how to have those relationships be independent of your relationship with that individual. So you are really helping this person grow and build their network and expand the people and the folks available to them as resources. Now we have the role of the roadblock remover. In this role as a roadblock remover, your job is to help smooth the path to completion for the work. So you are there to help preemptively eliminate problems that could pop up, or also deal with problems that do. And this could mean advocating for the person, their idea, their project to your boss or senior management. It could mean trying to secure additional resources to make sure that the project is appropriately funded. Or it could mean working with an external stakeholder who is being really difficult and trying to help smooth that relationship over so that your team member can do the work. Whatever it looks like, you are not taking over the work. You are stepping in strategic moments to help make sure that the people who are doing the work can do it as easily as possible. And you can use your position of influence or authority to help make their jobs easier. Next up, we have the role of the catcher. As the catcher, you are really there as the safety net to make sure that nothing goes wrong at the end of the day. As the catcher, your job is to let the person know that you are there for them if they need you, and that you are only planning to step in if it is absolutely necessary, but that ultimately you believe that they have the right skill set and capability to do the job, and you are going to kind of stay out of the way and only be there for support when it's ultimately needed. So when you're wearing your catcher hat, you might say things like, I'm putting you in the driver's seat, but I would love to see everything before it goes out to the door to the client, just to make sure that everything is meeting all of our standards. Or you might say something like, I trust that you got this, and so I'm here if you need me, and let's just have a quick check-in at the end before everything gets finalized. These kinds of statements communicate support and an opportunity for people to come to you with questions if they need it, but really saying that you are passing over ownership and you are just playing that kind of last step role. Lastly, we have the cheerleader. And the cheerleading role is really about instilling confidence in the other person. This is especially important when you're working with more junior or early career folks or interns who maybe don't have a lot of experience or don't yet have a lot of confidence in the workplace. As the cheerleader, you are there to encourage them, to help them believe in themselves. If they come to you and they're struggling, normalize the fact that this is a challenge, this is a stretch, this is something new, but that you have confidence that they are going to figure it out. And then you can help coach them or advise them into the right place that they need to be in. But many times you'll discover that they really do know what they're doing. They just need that little extra boost of confidence. They just need to know that you have their back and that you are there and you believe in them. Sometimes it's even helpful to share why you have so much confidence in them. You could say things like, I saw how well you managed that client on our last project, and I know that you'll be able to take this one on with that same level of sophistication and thoughtfulness. And if they do something well, make sure that you give them the right appreciation and praise and point out specifically, I love the way that you presented that information. It was so clear for everyone in the room, and it really helped us have a robust conversation. That's the reason why I know that you're able to do this other thing. When you point out what you see as someone's strengths and when you celebrate the wins and you show appreciation, you help build someone's confidence that enables them to take on more work in the future without relying so much on you. Now, most of the time, you will find yourself playing multiple roles with each of your team members. It is so specific to the context of your work, the work itself, and the individual person, as well as yourself and where you feel most confident showing up. Remember, it is more important to be thoughtful and clear about how you are going to support someone and to communicate that with them so that they know what to expect from your engagements and your relationships than it is to pick the perfect role. So you can imagine that it might be helpful to tell a team member, hey, I'm here to remove roadblocks. So when you get stuck, when something is going wrong, when someone in another department is being difficult, come to me and I'll figure out with you or on my own how to help smooth that over. If your team member doesn't know you're available to do that, they might not bring that issue to you. But if you are forthright with them and say, this is something I can do to support you, they will be more likely to take advantage of that. Same with playing an advisor or a coach role. If your team member is expecting you to give them the answers, it is much easier if they know up front that you're not going to do that you are there to help them find the answers, or that you expect them to come with their own ideas and you'll talk through them with them and help them figure out which makes the most sense. And of course, these roles can change over time. As you grow, as the individual grows, as the work changes, you might find yourself going from initially an expert role into more of an advisor role, into more of a coaching role. Or you might find that you used to play connector a lot, but now your team members really have all those connections in place and they don't need you to do that so much. By understanding these roles and your team members and the work that you have to do together, you are setting yourself up and your team member to have a positive relationship between the two of you and to get work done successfully. For more information on how to be a rockstar manager with a thriving team, check out my website, themodernmanager.com. And while you're here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend if you found it useful. And don't forget to check out my latest video.